Hello, welcome to my market commentary. This week was Crypto Week in America, and there were some interesting developments during Crypto Week. Finally, this is what they call Genius Act. President Trump signed the Genius Act. Now what's going on here with the law of genius? What we call stable coin. This 3. Pegged to the US dollar. There are cryptocurrencies such as Tether. You've probably heard the saying, 1 Tether is $1. Now if you ask what is the logic behind this, why would you buy Tether when there's the dollar? Why would someone go and buy its cryptocurrency? Well, some people use this tether to transfer money more easily, depending on the regulations of the country they live in. Tether can be used for shopping and so on. It has some conveniences. It's not like it's useless. Tether actually serves a purpose. Stable coins, these things are useful, but actually when you go and hand over your money, you give your lira and buy dollars. You can take those dollars and put them in a bank deposit, right? So, what happens when you buy this tether here? Now, the guy takes the dollars from you and sells you tether and says, there are dollars backing this tether. So what does he do with those dollars? Right? Now the guy has the dollars, and you could take those dollars and make a deposit. Right? Or, well, actually, it's not a deposit there. They buy US Treasury Bonds, or more precisely, they buy Treasury bills, because they buy short-term stuff. For example, they might buy 3-month Treasury bills. So basically, you're giving it to them without any interest. They take your dollars without paying you any interest. Then they go and put it somewhere to earn interest. And for you, it becomes a kind of cryptocurrency. You can use it as a dollar index now. With this law, what happens is, these stable coins, the so-called stable cryptos, it opens the way for them. Or rather, it makes things harder for them. But they've now established a legal framework for these and created an environment where people can feel more comfortable and be more willing to demand stable coins. So they've set up this infrastructure. So what's the genius here? The genius is this. In the end, someone will come along and lend money to America, to the US, meaning they'll go and buy US Treasury bills, short-term bonds, and push short-term interest rates down. Maybe it won't have much effect on 10-year bonds in the market. How they always say to the Fed, lower the interest rate, and the Fed says, I won't lower it. Now the market will lower it, and this way, the US Treasury will borrow money more cheaply. That's the genius part here. This is really the key point. That's why we explained all this. Because borrowing at a lower cost will give them more flexibility. So, instead of borrowing long-term at higher interest rates, they'll borrow short-term at lower rates. And when this reduces the need for long-term borrowing, what happens then? There won't be as many 10-year or 20-year bonds issued, since the value of the existing ones will increase. The 10-year yields could also be pushed down. Very clever. So, let's start with the US 10-year bonds. Alright, the US 10 years. Did they see this and say, yeah, let's start dropping now? Well, they've been dropping for the past 3 days, but that's purely a technical thing. So, in this situation, would we recommend TLT, which invests in the 20-year bonds? Yes, we would. It can be bought. Let's continue with cryptocurrencies. Because of this crypto week, there have been some very strong rallies in crypto. And as for crypto, I also shared a very detailed analysis yesterday. If you haven't watched it, I recommend you do. We did a kind of deep dive about cryptocurrencies. And there, I did a pretty comprehensive analysis. I even talked about AVAX, which many of you have been asking for, in that video as well. And let me just say this. We put in effort, we do something. Many friends watch and like it, but not subscribed. So you actually watched it. If you liked it, that is, if you saw value, please subscribe. You would support me and make me happy. Now, at this stage, Bitcoin has already gone up a lot. And so they passed the old targets, etc. At this stage in Bitcoin, wait a bit before making a new purchase. I think it's gone up enough now. We still think it has room to grow, but buy in portions and, for example, once a week. I recommend spreading it out over a month. So, buy with a quarter of your budget this week. then buy with another quarter next week, and another quarter the week after that, spreading it out like this. I recommend buying this way because the price has risen very quickly. It might want to take a breather around here, and other coins might move up faster. For example, Ethereum has risen very quickly here. It broke through the 3344 resistance, and the next resistance is at 4000. So, if you have Ethereum, definitely hold on to it, don't sell. 344 is already a very important support level here, acting as a strong support. But if you're going to buy Ethereum from this point on, just like with Bitcoin, divide your money into 4 parts and make purchases once a week. Proceed like that, because it has risen very quickly. Because now, this trend could weaken and there might be a pullback. But after that pullback is over, by mid-September, until about the 3rd week of September, we're in an environment where the upward movement could continue. So, should I buy today or not? Well, if you buy today, you might end up losing money. But what if I don't buy today, and it goes up even more? Will I miss out on the rally even more then? That's exactly when this problem's solution is only possible by buying in parts, and by spreading those parts out over time. So, buy some, and if it goes up more, buy again, and so on. Not based on levels. We recommend buying Ethereum in parts, based on time. But for Ripple, we don't recommend buying. It's at the 3.002 to 3. It's waiting at the 3.42 support level. We don't recommend buying 3.42. The support level is critical, and we're already very close to it right now. At 3.40, with 3.39 as critical support, we don't recommend buying. Hold on to what you have and wait. Let's see how things look on Monday. We'll evaluate Ripple then. So for now, we're not recommending buying Ripple, but for Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can buy in parts. I actually like Ethereum a bit more. If you watched that video of mine, I explained it there in quite a lot of detail. Since it's relevant, let me mention this too. There will be a price increase for my technical analysis course on August 1st. These are the last days before the price hike. Yes, right here. Now, we're continuing with the domestic and American stock markets. There was a bit of a drop in the Dow Jones. As you can see, the Dow Jones has been moving sideways. The S&P also closed the day flat. So, it closed flat at a spot very close to its peak. The Nasdaq also, at a spot close to its peak, closed the day flat. Because in America, the stocks performed quite well. They rose nicely. And now I think the market wants to see that August 1st. I think the market wants to see that. So right now, the trend is upward. But as August 1st approaches, the market will continue to feel uneasy. I've already been saying this. This week, the last week for buying in America. After that, there will only be 2 weeks left until August 1st. Right? August 1st falls on a Friday. During that 2-week period, I wouldn't really recommend buying anything. Hold on to what you have though. I'm not on board with the whole should we take profit or sell thing. I still think the trend is upward. But just hold on to what you have. If you have some money on the side, wait for now, because let's see what happens on August 1st. In fact, the effects of August 1st, at the end of that week, it will show itself. On the 2nd, 3rd, and on August 4th, August 5th, around those. I think this will become a bit clearer, so. I think the upward movement in the American stock market will continue a bit longer. But we're not recommending any new purchases, because August 1st brings some uncertainty. We're also not recommending taking profit or anything like that. That's not something we're suggesting. Taking profit is not on our agenda at all. We get a lot of questions about this, so that's why I said it. There's no such thing as taking profit. Now let's move on to silver. So, what about silver? Well, with silver, it dropped a bit, and then turned upward again. So, we continue to recommend buying silver. We've moved above the 4-hour level. We recommend buying silver. People are asking, should we take profit on silver? I don't know. We recommend buying silver. That's it. Down below at 37, we have support at 23, and our target is 38.74. We already hit our target, but since we pulled back from there, our target is again 38.74, and our next target is 43. So, we set the target at 38.74. It was reached. Now it's taking a bit of a breather, but it'll probably try again one more time. I think it'll break upwards. The gold-silver ratio is supporting this as well. It's looking pretty good. So, what about gold? We said to sell gold on April 24th. And since then, gold has been volatile but moving sideways. Gold is continuing within a single movement. Right now, we're not recommending selling. Gold, from 33.65, has turned back 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It pulled back each time. Even if we count, July 3rd and so on, if we include those as well. It's bounced back from there quite a few times, actually. And, well, the CIA and political tensions are ongoing. There's always something happening in the world. It was Russia and Ukraine, then Israel, and now they're doing things in Syria too, and so on. You know, things keep happening. And, the money supply is also growing worldwide, but both geopolitical tensions and the increase in money supply aren't pushing gold higher. So there's an issue here. I mean, you might say, hey, this is stuck. Maybe it'll break out upwards. And, that's one of the possibilities. But right now, since this resistance hasn't been broken, I mean, since we haven't seen a daily close above it or anything like that, I'm not recommending it. I'm not making any new gold recommendations, but maybe I could, if the conditions change. But for now, the thing I like is silver, not gold. What I still prefer is silver. It's not gold, in other words. I hope that's clear, because a lot of people asked, we sold our gold, what should we do? We said, you can buy silver. We don't like the money market anymore because the withholding tax increased, but we do like silver. And that's all for today.